306 is a wrap. The UFC sphere, the event that Dana White had been hyping up for months now, did it actually deliver? Merab Dvalishvili pulls the upset. Valentina Shevchenko beats Alexa Grasso. And guys, I'm glad to be back. I've missed you guys. I've missed making videos. And I'm currently in training, and I can't really specify what the training is for, but trust me, guys, it's just very difficult right now for me to make videos. But I really, really wanted to talk about UFC 306, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, and just the card in general. And before I even start talking about the card and the sphere and whether it actually delivered, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I did not watch all of the prelims, if I'm being honest. I watched the Raul Rosas Jr. fight, and the Wi-Fi is kind of bad here, so I wasn't really able to watch the prelims. But then I was able to watch the main card, and so I'm gonna start off with the main card. I mean, the card delivered, man. The card actually delivered, and I know that people are kind of mad about the main event, and I'm a little bit mad as well. Co-main event wasn't all that great. But man, Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. I mean, when this fight first got announced, I knew it was gonna be a banger of a fight. A lot of people were pissed because it was on the main card, and I kind of agree with that sentiment back then because it was kind of like, okay, like you're hyping up the UFC sphere. The main card should be household names, but this is still a great fight. Like it's not a fight that I was mad that that it was happening. I just thought it was a fight that belong on like the prelims. But man, this fight was amazing. It was a scrap. It was an absolute war. Both of these guys showed amazing boxing. The striking was absolutely beautiful. I think both of these fighters still have a lot of potential. It was a very, very close fight. I mean, if Esteban Ribovics doesn't hurt Daniel Huber at almost the end of the third round, I think Daniel probably would have won the fight. It was still a very, very close fight. It was a split decision for a reason. But man, this fight was amazing, man. And I think that because this fight was so amazing, it was kind of hard for the main event and co-main event to live up to this fight. It was just an absolute banger. I love this fight. Um, Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez, probably the second best fight on the card. Diego Lopez is a problem, guys. Diego Lopez is a guy that I've been hyping up for a long time now, and I think that he's a true problem. I know a lot of people, kind of jumped off the Diego Lopez hype train after his fight against Dan Ige, but also people don't remember that that was also a short notice fight for Diego Lopez. I believe he was stepping in like 2 weeks notice as well, and then gets his opponent changed last minute. Then the whole weight stuff with Brian Ortega missing weight, and then he has to make 156 pounds. So there was a lot going on before Diego Lopez's last fight against Dan Ige, who was supposed to be Brian Ortega, but Brian Ortega got sick. So there was a lot going on there. So I think that Diego Lopez didn't actually give his best performance in that last fight, but now in this fight, he actually had a full training camp. He was preparing for Brian Ortega, and he looked like an absolute monster, man. Diego Lopez is the real deal. His striking, his power is on another level. His hooks, his striking in the pocket is absolutely insane. I mean, we've seen Brian Ortega take beatings in his career by guys like Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, but I've never seen him as hurt as how Diego Lopez had him in this fight. Like he was in real trouble, and Brian Ortega is one of the most durable fighters. I mean, the fact that this fight went to a decision is just, I mean, it just shows how durable Brian Ortega really is. It's absolutely insane. But man, what a fight. I love this fight. I think this was a great performance for Diego Lopez. Brian Ortega, I didn't think he looked all that bad. I mean, he was having success with the jab. The problem with Brian Ortega is that even though he has really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's like he struggles to take the fight down to the mat, and he just was not going to have the wrestling, in my opinion, to take down Diego Lopez, and I think it showed in this fight. But what an incredible performance by Diego Lopez. And I feel like he's kind of in a weird situation, right? Because he just beat number 3 in the featherweight division. Obviously, we have Ilya Topuria versus Max Holloway for the title next. And, Alexander Volkanovski is kind of waiting in the wings to fight the winner of Topuria versus Holloway. So who's Diego Lopez really going to fight? So I kind of wish that, we would have maybe Volkanovski fights Diego Lopez, but I feel like that's a lot of risk, right? Because Diego Lopez is a young contender, a lot of power, very dangerous. I don't know if Volkanovski really wants to take this type of matchup if it's not for the title. I think there's a lot to lose there for Volkanovski, coming off 2 knockout losses, 36 years old. And I honestly do think Diego Lopez beats him right now. Look, I was having a conversation with a friend who was saying, "Oh, I think Volkanovski still beats him." And even though I think if it's a 5 round fight, I might lean Volkanovski. The problem with that is that I think Diego Lopez is so dangerous. And what my friend was saying was that Volkanovski just wouldn't get hit like that. And I'm just like, no, I think Volkanovski is a little bit more hittable than you think. And I think if Diego Lopez lands any type of combination that he just landed on Brian Ortega on Volkanovski, Volkanovski is going out cold. Like Volkanovski is not as durable as Brian Ortega, especially at this point in his career. And I just think Diego Lopez has the ferocity, has the power, has the speed right now to knock out someone like Volkanovski. I think a prime Volkanovski would be Diego Lopez, but at this point, man, I don't know. I think Diego Lopez would actually beat Alexander Volkanovski. So I don't think it's a fight that Volkanovski is gonna take right now. I think if I were Volkanovski, I would just wait for the winner of Topuria versus Holloway, because even if you lose, like let's say Topuria beats Holloway and then you fight Topuria and you lose, well at least you lost in a title fight. If you lose against Diego Lopez, you're probably not gonna fight for the title anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's a lot to lose there for Volkanovski, and because of that, I just feel like Diego Lopez is kind of in a weird place. I mean, maybe um, Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez for the interim belt, but I mean that doesn't even make a lot of sense, right? So I think right now we just have to wait to see what happens with Topuria versus Holloway. And a little part of me was hoping that Volkanovski would take a fight against a lightweight, maybe a Dustin Poirier, maybe a Charles Oliveira. Obviously, we know Charles Oliveira is going to fight Michael Chandler, but man, I would love to see Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. I love that fight so much. And I think at this point, it's the only fight that truly makes sense for Diego Lopez. As for Brian Ortega, I mean, he could fight Josh Emmett. I mean, there's a lot of fights that he could still have if he really cares about his UFC career, right? Because for the last couple of years, he's been very inactive. I know he got injured in his fight against Yair Rodriguez, but I don't know, man. I don't know if Brian Ortega is really all that hungry to become champion, to truly be the best featherweight in the world. So great performance by Diego Lopez. And man, like I said, these two fights were absolutely incredible. And it's unfortunate that the co-main event and main event just did not live up to those last two fights, right? But even though these fights weren't like all that great, I still thought they were, decent, right? So Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko, man, I thought Alexa Grasso would do a lot better. To be honest with you, this was the first and second fight, but Grasso doing a lot worse on the feet. Like Valentina Shevchenko had success with the takedowns in the first and second fight, but in this fight, the thing that really stood out was that Valentina Shevchenko just looked a lot better in the striking than Alexa Grasso. Like Alexa Grasso just wasn't having good, like she wasn't finding her range with the boxing, so she wasn't really landing anything on the feet, while Valentina Shevchenko, like her Muay Thai just looked very crisp. She was doing very good job with the front kicks, with the straight jabs, fighting from southpaw and switching stances. She did a very very good job in this fight. And I just think Alexa Grasso, one, her takedown defense isn't all that great. She wasn't throwing knees when Valentina was trying to take her down. I don't know what the game plan was here. And I just thought that she looked very jittery on the feet. Like from the first round, I was like, Grasso looks very, very anxious. And she wasn't setting up any of her shots. And basically, the story of this fight was, Alexa Grasso was trying to land stuff on the feet. She was not having any success. Valentina would actually outstrike her, and then Valentina would shoot for a takedown and then get it, and basically control Alexa Grasso for the rest of the round. Alexa Grasso did have moments in the fight where, she got a guillotine, I believe, and, she was attempting a lot of submissions, but she was just so tired and she just did not have the squeeze to beat someone like Valentina Shevchenko. So incredible performance by Valentina. It wasn't a great fight. It really wasn't. And part of that had to do with the fact that Alexa Grasso just looked very, very flat on the feet, and I hope they don't make a fourth fight. I mean, I'm kind of worried that they will make a fourth fight, but I think for Valentina Shevchenko, fighting Manon Fiorot is probably the next best move. And I think Alexa Grasso should probably fight the winner of Erin Blanchfield versus Rose Namajunas. I think that fight makes a lot of sense right now. So now moving on to the main event, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. And I did pick Sean O'Malley to beat Merab, and wow, was I wrong. And I'm not mad about this fight. I think a lot of people are mad because, Merab he doesn't have like the most entertaining style. Even though I think he's entertaining because he breaks guys, he spams a lot of takedowns. He has a lot of energy on the cage. His cardio is very, very impressive, and I think that the thing that stood out from the thing that stood out to me about this fight was that Merab just had a speed advantage overall. Like, he's not the better striker, but he just looked a lot faster than Sean O'Malley. And I don't know if that's just because Sean O'Malley looked a bit flat. He looked like a bit slow. He was throwing a lot of right overhands. I felt like he wasn't throwing enough teeps to the body up until the fifth round. He was throwing a lot of, right hands to the body, which I understood why, right? Because Merab kind of has a high guard. He likes to feint. And I think Sean O'Malley was a little bit worried about that takedown. But man, Merab is just an absolute monster. I mean, as much as I do believe that Sean O'Malley looked flat in the fight, like I cannot take away the credit from Merab Dvalishvili. This guy's an absolute monster. This guy's an absolute machine. And I think in theory, Sean O'Malley should have been kind of a bad matchup for him, just in the striking. The fact that Merab, spams a lot of takedowns but doesn't have a lot of control. I mean, he broke Sean O'Malley. Like, he didn't just attempt a bunch of takedowns. He got the takedowns, and we had O'Malley on the ground. He was actually landing elbows, landing pretty good ground and pound shots. He had O'Malley up against the cage, landing knees to his thigh that looked very, very bad. Like, they looked like they hurt. And I'm pretty sure that affected Sean O'Malley. And I just felt like Sean O'Malley just never really got his rhythm. And Merab just looked like the guy with the better cardio. He looked like the faster guy on the feet. He wasn't the better striker necessarily, but because he was so active and he was the one moving forward, I think it made it very hard for Sean O'Malley to land that one shot. And he had moments where he landed some pretty good shots, but I mean, with somebody like Merab, you can't just land one shot and expect this guy to go out. You have to land like a lot of combinations. You really have to hurt this guy. And the thing that I've noticed with guys with like Bilal Muhammad, with guys with like Merab Dvalishvili, you cannot, you cannot let them pressure you. If you let them pressure you, they're gonna beat you because when they pressure you, you become a reactionary fighter, and I think that's what happened in this fight with Sean O'Malley, where Merab started to take over when he was the one on the front foot. I mean, Sean O'Malley was just reacting and getting taken down. But when O'Malley was the one pressuring forward, like he did in that fifth round, that's where he had more success. When he landed that, I believe it was a teep to the body, and it was like a liver kick, and then Merab was kind of hurt. He could have followed up, but I mean, Sean O'Malley was so tired, man. And I mean, just look at the total strikes: 49 total strikes versus 214 total strikes for Merab Dvalishvili. And there was rounds where Sean O'Malley only landed like 6 strikes. So I don't know what the game plan was here. I don't know if the game plan was to let Merab come to him and then him landing a counter shot, but Merab doesn't really fight like that. He doesn't overextend like Aljamain Sterling. Like, Merab has a very high guard. He's very explosive. He throws a lot of feints. And I think that Sean O'Malley allowed Merab to pressure him too much up against the fence. And you kind of let Merab get into his rhythm. And I think that Sean O'Malley waited too long for him to land anything of significance on Merab. And because of that, Merab just did not respect him on the field. Even though Sean O'Malley, like I said, he's a better striker. He's the guy with the better footwork. Merab is a machine, man. And I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I thought Sean O'Malley was truly going to beat Merab Dvalishvili. And that's not because I think Merab is a bad fighter necessarily. But I just thought, look, we've seen Merab get hurt by guys like Henry Cejudo. We've seen him get hurt by guys like Marlon Moraes. If there's a guy that can snipe you and hurt you with a knee, with a straight right hand, and really pressure you and you having a hard time closing the distance, it's somebody like Sean O'Malley. But Merab made it look kind of easy, guys. Like, I know that a lot of people said this was a 5-0 kind of fight. I don't agree. I thought it was 3-2. I thought Sean O'Malley won the third round and the fifth round. I gave him the third round. It was a very close round. I gave him the fifth round, and Merab won um, 1, 2, and 4. But they were very dominant rounds by Merab Dvalishvili. So incredible performance for Merab. I am a little bit bummed. I wanted to see Sean O'Malley win the title and potentially fight someone like Ilya Tapura down the line, but I mean, Merab deserves this, man. Merab is an absolute monster. He's a machine. And Sean O'Malley, even though he lost this fight, I don't think that. I don't think, like, people are going to say he sucks, and I don't necessarily agree. I just think he had kind of a bad night, and I still think that maybe in the future he could beat someone like Merab Dvalishvili if he has a better game plan. I don't know if he went into this fight with any injuries. But I mean, no excuses here. Merab Dvalishvili was just a better fighter, and these guys are just a problem. These heavy grapplers, these heavy pressure grapplers with great cardio, like Bilal Muhammad, like Merab Dvalishvili, even someone like Dricus du Plessis against Israel Adesanya, these guys are standing out. And if you're a good mixed martial artist, and you're fighting a striker and you expose them with pressure and just grappling, and even if you're not able to submit them or really land a lot of ground and power shots on the ground and really hurt them, the fact that you're controlling him, the fact that you're controlling them, the fact that you're kind of dominating them, and you're not letting them get into the rhythm of their game, it just really affects these fighters. So great performance by Merab. I want to see Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov, and I think Sean O'Malley, I would love to see him fight maybe Henry Cejudo, or maybe the winner of Figueiredo versus Peter Yan. I think that if Peter Yan beats Davidson Figueiredo, I would love to see Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley too, and then maybe see Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov, which I think Umar probably beats Merab Dvalishvili. Um, yeah, I mean that's a good fight. That's a really good fight. But man, am I bummed that Sean O'Malley is not the champion anymore. I still think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. I think Merab is just an absolute monster. Like this guy has like 5 lungs. Like this guy's an absolute machine. Like this guy needs to be tested for EPO. There's no way that Merab is not on any substances with that type of cardio, with that type of energy. He didn't even look nervous. It was absolutely insane. What an incredible performance by Merab Dvalishvili. The fight wasn't like super exciting, but I mean it was still very entertaining to see Merab take down Sean O'Malley. And O'Malley, I think I was waiting for him to get back into the fight. And even in the fifth round where he hurt Merab, it just wasn't enough, man. You just gotta finish Merab like definitively. You can't just hurt him and then like he'll recover. He has very very good recovery as we've seen in his past fights, guys. But honestly, guys, UFC Sphere, I think it lived up to the hype, man. I really enjoyed the event. I thought the production was very good. I hope they do this again. Now, is it $22 million? Uh, is it worth it? I don't know if it does. I mean, it's basically just a screen, but I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it actually delivered. I thought the card overall was a very, very fun card. Even though the main event wasn't like the most entertaining fight, I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed seeing Merab Dvalishvili beat someone like Sean O'Malley, who, if we're being honest, was kind of undefeated up to this point. Like that Chito Vera loss doesn't really count, especially now that we've seen Chito Vera versus O'Malley too. So crazy, crazy, man. The UFC is in a very strange place. We have Bilal Muhammad as a champion. We have Merab Dvalishvili as a champion. I'm sure Dana White is not happy about this, but at the end of the day, the best fighters are gonna stand out and win. And I still think that we could see a rematch in the future. I think it's very possible we see a rematch, guys. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Like I said, I'm gonna be posting videos, maybe not as frequently. But anyway, guys, please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on the card, and I'll see you guys in the next one.